welcome to 5 Minutes, your fast track to smarter insurance technology and stronger leadership. In the next 5 minutes, we're going to show you a better way to lead, scale, and innovate without the chaos. Let's get into it. As you look at your, the regulatory operation, you're looking at opportunities to either eliminate, to automate, or to embed.
But one of the things, and I think some of that comes from my training at GE, I was trained in Six Sigma.
Okay.
So process improvement is always there. And no one wants to do compliance topics. I recognize it.
Right.
So how can we make it simple? Instead of having someone look at things manually, we can automate it, use RPA, marry the two. And not only does that give efficiency, but it reduces errors, right? Because you don't have the human aspect of it. Make it a part of the natural process. If I'm doing an expense report, I need to flag gifts. Why do I get a checkbox at the end saying something about gifts up front? Is this a gift? Just sort of make it intuitive, build it into the process. And then often we find that for whatever reason, maybe it was an audit recommendation, maybe people felt uncomfortable, you just keep adding on to the controls and to the checklist. You get to a point where you have hundreds of things you need to do, but maybe only 20 of them are really important. And I learned that at Swiss Re, we had this process of doing some account validations. We had over 50 attributes, but only 30 were critical. And we wondered why we always failed. So you just need to focus on the critical few and have those conversations. And if you can save someone time, they become your friend.
It's so funny. I couldn't help but think about the insurance application process as you were describing some of that stuff. I mean, how many of those questions are we truly rating on? Are we truly underwriting on? Right? Yeah.
But you do have people, I want to collect the data.
Exactly.
But they don't do anything with the data. So in for risk perspective, let's narrow it down. And some people look at me and like, okay, we're going to eliminate this. But it's not driving any impact.
So as far as the automation piece, we'd be remiss if we had a conversation here at InsurTech Hartford without talking about AI, right?
AI.
And so what's your view of AI, how it works its way into this part of the business?
It definitely has to be there.
Okay.
And there are pieces that are repetitive, that don't add value. One of the key things that we implemented was around the KYC, know your customer aspect. And in that, you do screening, you come out with false positives. From that, you can now use that database to create things that say, scoring them, right?
Right.
Simple things of, okay, and those that are score high, we don't need as much attention or what have you. So you could direct those accordingly to more senior people, really using that to sort of maximize the efficiency and time. AI is a tool to help us, right? It should not replace. You still need that human intervention to make that final call to see what makes most sense.
So by extension in that, and let's move out of regulatory, the operational element of it, but just I'll ask you to put your compliance hat, looking at the business globally. What are you worried about from an AI? I shouldn't even say worried, but what are you watching? What are you watching carefully as you're seeing AI deployed throughout the entirety of the business and the products, et cetera?
Well, one of the things is, and I've always, when we use technology, is a bit of concern is, are we really taking away the ability of someone to think and process? If the systems go down, can we really do some of these things?
Okay.
People depending on AI and not knowing what it's doing. Can we really explain what happened, what's going on here? That bit of embracing it for sure.
Right.
Not becoming overly dependent on it. My wife and I were having a conversation about where it's going. So using it to help you is good, but you have some people who are lazy who will just use it as a default.
That's right.
All right. And there was an article recently where a lawyer used it to create his brief, and AI created cases that didn't exist, looked perfectly, sort of passed it off. So making sure people use it as a tool and not a replacement. I think that's really key.
Yeah, no, that makes a ton of sense. On that same vein, Ron, how are you seeing the regulatory environment responding to these changes and to kind of AI and technology writ large?
Playing catch up.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, in industry, there is more technical ability. People are more advanced. Regulators have typically thought rules and regs. Tech has not been their space.
Right.
So they're really playing catch up, and they're looking around the globe to see which agencies are doing what. There's always this, if it's happening in one area, I need to be doing it too. So the me too happens with regulators.
Yep.
But they're playing catch up. They are concerned because ultimately their goal is to protect the end customer.
That's right. Is there an opportunity, Ron, without running afoul of antitrust and collusion for the industry to come together and kind of align on approaches and standards that the regulators can consider?
There are, and there are some trade organizations that do that.
Okay.
And regulators are open to it.
Okay.
Right? If you bring them along, if you share, I think that will serve you well.
Thank you for joining this episode of 5 Minutes. If you've enjoyed our discussion, we'd love for you to share it with anyone else you think might find it interesting. Also, please subscribe on whatever podcast platform you're listening on and hit that bell to stay on top of the game with our practical 5-minute episodes. We look forward to seeing you again next week.